you all standing for the most part next to a stanza that speaks to you? Is anyone still deciding? Just show your hand really quick if you're still deciding where to stand. Alright, so let me do just a couple of share.
Are you still deciding? Are you still deciding where you're going to stand? All right, I'm going to give you guys a couple of folks. I'm going to give you a couple of these pieces of paper. Not everyone needs one, just so you can kind of keep your eye on it.
Alright, so for the next,
Yeah.
if you guys want to pull up some chairs for these groups too, to make it a little bit more comfortable, you can. But I passed out some discussion questions. And so pick maybe a couple and have a conversation, right? So what do you think it means to be free in the 21st century is one that you can think through together. What would it look like if we were all free to be our best selves and create a more perfect union? A lot of what this poem talks about is this idea of what America could be and making America great in a vision that's not exclusionary but really is inclusive, particularly for those who have been the most marginalized, who have been downtrodden, who have lacked access to opportunities. So what would it look like if we were all free to be our best selves? What would that best self look like? And then maybe another thing that you can, and again, you just, in your group, decide which one or two questions you'll think through. Another one, what is your vision for America's future? And who has that responsibility? I think earlier today, the sister over here was talking about this being an opportunity for, or being an opportunity actually to come together to do something different, to create an alternative vision for our future, right? So what would that look like? And what kind of leadership would be required? So these are 5 questions. You don't have to answer all 5. Take about 10 minutes and we'll let you know when you're drawing close. And have a conversation about 1 or 2 of these. And then we'll popcorn out some of your responses.
I'm going to grab a
You're
chair.
going.
I guess she wants us to discuss them.
Yeah, you want to do that.
Do you want I actually have the food. There we go.
We don't do it.
Some of them.
I think what it means to be free in the 21st century, meaning that you can go anywhere without anybody looking at you straight to it, and people thinking you're some great
It's when the color of your skin really don't matter. You can actually go anywhere because they're in America today. There's still places where my color skin you can't even live. A couple years ago, my pastor, someone just bought my pastor a house out of the blue. He didn't know her. She just went to the church once, and after the service was over, she fell in love with the pastor and his wife, and she was an old lady. Maybe she was wealthy, we don't know. But she bought the house, and she gave it to them as a gift. Mortgage paid, fully paid off, no mortgage. But these are 2 black people. She bought that house in a white neighborhood. And every day that God sent, cops were called to their homes for something or another because they were black, living in a white neighborhood. In today's day and age, this was just a couple years ago. And to the point where it got so bad, they ended up in court. And the judge had to order these white people to leave these black people alone. So it's a serious issue today to be free is to be not just to be able to walk around, but to be who you are. You didn't ask to be black. You didn't choose your nativity. You didn't choose your parents. Because I'm sure a lot of us, if we were to choose, we would have a variety of choices. But because we didn't choose, we're who we are. So it's accepting who you are and being able to just be you today. And today, it's really not that. We have to just be truthful about what it really is. There's no such thing as freedom in America today. It's not. Anybody else, any take on what it means to be free today's day? I mean, we've come a long way because there were the times when we couldn't even board a bus. We were only free to clean the washroom, be servants, and so we've come a long way, but there's still so much more to do. We don't need to get to the point where we have to cut ourselves and match what's coming out of your body and what's coming out of mine, because we're sure it's going to be blood coming out of our bodies, and it's the same color, they're not different. We're the same people, we were born with the same abilities, we were made the same way God made us, all of us the same way. It doesn't matter what color our skins are, and we should treat everybody the same way. And that's when we can really say we've evolved to real freedom, when we can look our Asian brother in his eyes and say we really love you, and do the same things we would do for our own cultural group, and go all the way for that person too. And vice versa. They'll do the same for us, we'll do the same for them. Making sure everybody accomplishes their God-given potential. Whatever you have to do to get them to the top, get them to the top. Today, we still don't want to see a female director. We still don't want to see a female president. We're still not, so we're kind of a long way from real free. I mean, it spells free, but kind of the F dropping off someplace. But it's the start. And the real freedom begins in ourselves. When we love ourselves and we accept ourselves, it's easy to accept other people. Love me, love you, and not try to go out of your way to be somebody else. Because my shoe won't fit you, your shoe won't fit me.
You guys need to make sure everybody give a point about like what we have to talk about. Just say a point on each and then move on, because they have like a couple questions that you want to know. But everybody have to put something.
What would it look like if we were all free to be our best selves and create a more perfect union? Oh, that would be something beautiful.
What do you mean by perfect union? Are you talking about marriage?
No. Relationship, living together in unity, being able to embrace each other.
I think that would be the
Being a
America
community.
that that's not who you're talking about, because that would be the America that he's hoping for America to be. That would be perfect, where everybody can achieve his potential, regardless of who you are, regardless of how you look like. Yeah, where like people will be treated like by their character instead of their physical appearance. And that would be, and America also would be like the greatest nation, because now we still America is the greatest nation, but it's challenged by the China. And this is because we not like this union doesn't exist. This is why it's being challenged. If everybody was able to achieve his highest potential, America would still be the greatest nation on the earth. Thank you.
It would be a world of free, successful people. That's what it would look like to me. A world of free and successful people, because at least you get a chance to.
All right, a couple more minutes. So let some other folks join the conversation for those who haven't had a chance
What would
to
America's
talk.
best self look like?
I think they are related.
They're kind of the same thing.
I think what you just said about successful, there's so much wrapped up in that, and like, there are so many different inequalities in this country, and
Makes it difficult to get to successful.
yeah, it's like, maybe you're successful in one area, but you're still broke, or like, maybe you're a good mother, but, you know, you can't send your kids to college, or like, you know, like,
There's
like,
always
are you ever gonna
an
win?
imbalance.
And,
Yeah.
and I think if it's like in an ideal world, like if we're thinking about perfect, like everyone would have the needs for education, like everyone would have needs for healthcare, like that's what I think. But
Where nothing is off limits for you because you're black. Or nothing is off
Exactly.
limits for you because the way you sound.
Exactly.
Nothing is off limits for you because of how you walk. Nothing is off limits for you because you don't have straight long hair. You know, nothing is absolutely nothing is off limits for you. That would be that point.
Different question. What is your vision for America's future? Who has the responsibility for America's future?
We do.
All of us do.
We all have a responsibility to play our part in a leadership.
All right, last minute to
Just
wrap up
because
your
you're
final
not-
thought. Whoever's talking,
Just
make
because
your
you're
last
not
point, and then we'll come back together.
somebody who is called out, you may not be Spanish, someone else, you may not be, you may just be that little girl from the community, from the church down the block, but somebody's watching you. And just because somebody's looking at us at all times, we have to behave and conduct ourselves in an exemplary manner in which, you know, so that somebody else can emulate us, somebody else can look at us and say, wow, you know, maybe I should do this way.
All right, folks.
You know, maybe I should try that. Maybe, you know, 'cause she did this
Hear
and
me
she
clap
got
twice?
there.
Can you hear me clap 3 times? All right, turn your chairs around and let's stay in your little group. So, why don't we hear from each group, maybe a couple minutes, or at least each group, let's hear one thing that you all want to share with the group from your discussion. You all want to start? You guys seem to have a pretty good conversation. Or is there another group that might want to start first? Just popcorn. Anything that came from your conversation around vision, around best self, just around, yes.
We feel like the majority, they feel like the last question, which was the answer, is that the leader we think that would acquire the best best self of America should be a leader that's not racist and a leader that's not oppressive.
So we need leadership in this country right now that's not about marginalizing and oppressing and exploiting, but really is about lifting folks up.
Exactly.
Others? Yes.
We were talking about what is our vision for America's future and who has the responsibility for it. We all agree that we all have the responsibility with all the actions that we ever take and the decisions. And all our vision is that if we do that, maybe America will become great again, but truly great.
But defining great in a different way
Right.
than certain powers that be.
Taking everyone out.
Anything from this group? Just one thought?
As we went through each question and looking at being free and in the 21st century, we feel like we're kind of still a long way from really being free. And we do think that change begins in us. So our leadership qualities and skills in our communities do matter, because there's always somebody looking at us, even though we don't see them looking at us. There's somebody always looking at us. Our vision of a free America is where everybody gets an opportunity to get to their God-given potential without anything prohibiting them from getting there just because you're black or just because you're gay or just because of your accent or just because of how you dress. Those things don't matter, but you have access to everything that will allow you to get to that point of success.
That's an awesome vision. So this idea that everyone, regardless of their race, their gender identity, their sexual orientation, their class, their gender, how they identify, everyone has access to the things that they need to be able to be great, to be personally great, and their communities to be
Because great is relative.
Right, that's right. But I think what I heard you say too, great is really around potential to thrive and potential to be able to do whatever, right? And that's this idea of the American dream, right? That Langston Hughes often would grapple with this idea that was a foundation of this democracy, but that wasn't really true. So how do we actually, think about an alternative vision and an alternative reality that really does move us towards this idea? I think he agreed that the idea of America was a good one, but it hasn't necessarily been working out. And as you were saying, we might be a long way. So awesome, thank you. So, Mel?
Yeah, because we're short on time, because I don't want to keep you all too long, we might go like 2 or 3 minutes over. What I want to do is not do the tableau, not do the picture with our bodies, but I would like for us to get into a circle, just so it's a complete circle with our chairs. And we're going to do a closing, kind of a little bit of reflection of closing, pretty quick closing. And make sure you're pretty close to the person next to you. So you should make a very tight circle. What do you think of today's activities? What do today's activities make you think of about leadership? Thank you. And we introduced these 3 themes at the beginning of the day. And what do you think of them? So what about all this stuff that we're talking about?
I think it's obvious we're all leaders.
It's important to have a leader, but it's also important for power because, yes, there's need to be somebody that identifies senses of safety for a challenge, but there also have to be people that are willing to follow that person and to do the work.
Oh, can I answer what she said? I feel that every leader has to be a follower first. It's like everyone should strive to be a leader, right? Because being a follower means that you're like in training, you're kind of like the apprentice. So you have to you have to foster, you have to you have to embrace the future generation of leaders.
In the way the leader, whoever is leading, approaches you, it's also a sport way. For example, we were making it figure, the way they will touch you, they will be bossy about it, but we can, be gentle about telling you what to do, but just pretending to be in charge of power.
I think, as I mentioned before, having the prior experience, prior knowledge, a leader doesn't always have to take the role initiative be number one. You can step back and let 5 or 20 other people just take initiative because I'm still learning, as we all are, and then just watching just today, every time you learn something new every day.
And the fact that we were training the leaders and we were choosing them randomly, it makes me feel that everybody can be a leader. You just have to develop the skill necessary for to become a leader.
Right. We're going to move this into closing, and we're sitting in a circle because that's part of what the last exercise is. So we're going to go to the left. and you're gonna follow the person to your right. So whatever the person to your right is doing, so for you that'd be me. Then you're gonna follow me, and then you'll follow her. Whatever. Okay. So make sure that your hands are free. So put papers or whatever on the ground. Okay. So it's gonna. So don't start doing the accident until the person to your right is doing it. Okay. All right, we just made a rainstorm. Do you guys have done it before? We built a rainstorm, little drops, and then whatever, thunder. And so I just want to close out with that activity. Like the first one I remember doing it, I was in kindergarten, so it's been on a long time. But I want to do that just as a reminder for us. Like this, what we need in this moment is bold leadership, right? You all are bold leaders. We need a world where we live with compassion for ourselves and for everyone around us. And we live in a moment where we are all part of a movement. And America, we all have a responsibility to work to make America America again, right? Like some people say that it's never been America's attempt. And many people would say that, but for many people, they have been able to see that training. And I think that it's on all of us as leaders to really create a better future than what we have right now. So that was just an example of how we build momentum, how we are all one little snap, but when we are one little pat, but then we all do it together, we come to a rainstorm. So lots of love to you guys. Happy New Year, and thank you for having me.
Like I said, Mel is the mom. She has a full name, so Melanie Willingham Jackers. Just so that you know. And Julie. And so thank you very much for coming. I think that if you were here throughout the 4 hours, the 2 different sessions, starting with your stories and ending with this, I think the message is pretty clear. I mean, we all come from places where we all sort of sense that we're on the verge, we're on the precipice of a world that's going to change drastically from what we've become comfortable with in maybe, a certain period of time. There have been little hiccups, there have been major hiccups, but I think we all kind of sense that there's going to be a shift that we're all going to have to address. And starting with your stories, which were really beautiful, I mean, because you all come from such unique, original, unique, special, unique, amazing places, right? I've always said that the greatest perk that I have of this job is that the world comes to me, right? I've lived in the Bronx all of my life. So we have all the folks who come from all over the world to Hostos, and then they land up in my office. But it's more than that. It's about all of the different stories that you have to tell. Whether you've lived in the Bronx all of your life, or you've come from, the smallest country in the world, right? Jamaica. Anyway, but you are special, you're unique, and you have what's inside of you that can make a difference. And I think the thing about Langston Hughes that stood out to me, is important, is that your voice, your words, can have a distinct impression upon every single individual that you meet. And by the simple turn of a phrase, the simple action that you take, the simple amount of energy that you put into a relationship with another human being, you can change things for the better, right? And those little actions add up because you do it, the next person does it, and then somehow, like we just did in the last exercise, there's some bigger impact that maybe you never ever truly see, but you're part of the solution by actually taking a step in the right direction. And that's kind of what we do. I mean, that's the point of what we do. Everything, when we talk about the stuff that we do on a regular basis, what the Academy does, it's all voluntary, right? We come to workshops voluntarily, we do community service voluntarily, you make your commitments voluntarily. The folks who are running the workshops, the alumni who are coming back from Washington, D.C. and other places, all voluntary. There's nobody like saying, hey, here's the $1, here's the prize. It's about knowing that you're committed to something that you know is going to have an impact. And I can say, from my perspective, this is the last thing I'll say, is that in the 10 years that I've been here, I knew from the very beginning that I was only going to be planting seeds, right? I may never ever see the trees actually come to fruition. And the best example of this was in the first year, in 2009, we went out to St. Mary's Park, and we planted 900 trees. And we said to them, why are we planting 900 trees? I mean, if you think about it, 900 trees, there's nowhere, there won't be any park, right? And what they said is that in the 900s, not all of them survived. In fact, like 75% of all of the trees were going to die because they didn't have the resources to survive. But those 25% were going to provide clean air and opportunities and maybe branches to climb on and whatever else you could see, or food for squirrels and birds, right? So you're the 25%. You're here on a Tuesday in January when it's freezing cold outside. And we sent out 3,400 letters, and there were opportunities for students across the CUNY campuses to come and join us. You made the effort. You made the choice. You're part of the 25% that's sprouting, growing, and can make a big difference in the world around you. So continue to do that. Even if this is the last workshop you attend, continue to be that, because that's going to make an impression on the world that you live in. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate the time that you gave us, and I definitely appreciate what you guys brought to the session today. And let's give them a round of applause. Tomorrow, Sean Dove is going to be here. And he's inspirational. And he's been, you guys know Sean?
I used to work with Sean.
Okay, so Sean has come here every year. And Sean has been doing stuff at the White House, okay? In the Obama administration, around a lot of different things. And he's going to be here in the morning. We have Mariana coming in the afternoon. And we have Regina coming in the late afternoon. And then on Thursday, we have Arel in the morning who's really excited. And I'll tell you, he's excited for two reasons. One, he loves coming back to Hostos every time he does it. Two, his college roommate is doing the second session, that's Bert. And three, I told him that Marley will be here. You guys know who Marley is? So Marley is my daughter, and she will be here on Thursday. And she's going to do the example during the dining etiquette of how you should eat at a gala. You all missed that, okay. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Now what we do is we try to do it. I don't push it. It's a good opportunity. We don't do the Fridays anymore.